Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Because this is the day that He has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Hallelujah. Welcome to another Shabbat talk. This is Ben Israel checking in again from the Kodesh Garden Homestead, where the land meet the clouds. Let me just check my volume. This is Ben Israel checking in for the Kodesh, from the Kodesh Gardens, where the land meet the cloud. Very informal type of conversation today, but yet formal, but somewhat informal. Let you have a praise. As in my hand here, piece of sugar cane. And I'm not sure if you ever had a piece of sugar cane. Yeah, this is eating electric. When you talk about eating electric, this is electric eating, electric food, alkaline. Eating raw food. This is raw food. It doesn't need any fire, any heat to prepare rather. So let's have a praise. Today's conversation is about community, and living together with like minds. So it's going to be a little bit informal because I'll be chewing my sugar cane while I eat. And just have a conversation about a few things, while I go through the Shabbat talk. First let me just thank the Most High, to His Son Yeshua HaMashiach for being here and for to have kept us this day. I've kept my family who have provide for us our food, our clothing, and our shelter. And I thank the Most High for fellowship, from brethren. Special shout out to my brother Matityahu and his family. And I have brethren that now has moved into Ghana. Shout out to Brother Orville and his family out there. And for all those who I interact with in this journey and the walk, in this way of learning set apart living to the Most High. And for those who are in the journey, and for those who continue to echo the sound of family and community, brotherhood, sisterhood, let you be praised. So it's going to be a bit informal. So let me take a bite of my sugar cane. If you ever had a piece of sugar cane, if you ever make it here into the island of Jamaica, and you have never had a piece of sugar cane, that time we go to the grocery stores and we see cane sugar, we see sugar that we buy for our sweeteners. Yah's creation here, with it being raw, natural, alkaline, where you don't need to prepare it. You can just have it like this. If any of my brothers make it here on the Kodesh homestead, be sure to have a chai of our sugar cane. With this, it is off-grid. This type of living. We live off-grid. I may not have said it before, but I have videos posting and showing of stuff that we do here. We live off-grid. We don't use city water. We don't use public electricity on the grid for hydro. We, through the Most High, have had settings and we set up our own operations here on the Kodesh Garden. So when any of the family members, brethren, and their family might be commuting this way, and they were to stay with us on our homestead or close by, as soon as we get certain other things in place, that is, we're looking to get some stuff in place here. so we can accommodate fellow brothers and sisters, however, and families. But but if they were just a visit for a day visit, then you know what we have here is off grid, and we respect we respect our resources because you can't spend what you don't have, and when you have it, you can't spend it all. And that goes for water and for power, electricity. We can use more electricity than we have, what we don't have, and if when we get it, we can spend all of it at once. So let you have a praise. Let you have a praise. The sugar cane is, very much tasty. I've always loved to eat sugar cane growing up. Mm, mm. And while I spent so many time of my years in North America, while we lived in a country where everything you have to purchase, I've never had a piece of sugar cane. I've seen it in the Asian stores, but I've never bought any because it's not fresh. I've never bought any. You know, so that is the advantage of living here in a tropical country where you can grow certain food and eat raw food because raw food is good to eat. So we're talking today community living with like minds, but we want to have that like minds of refreshing our body with raw food where we can. You know, uh, banana ripening in its natural state without needing any form of processing is raw food. And we eat raw food here as soon as it's provided. Tomatoes and you got the other stuff that we can eat raw that doesn't need any heat, which help to dissipate the nutrients from that food. So thank the Most High for fellowship. We thank the Most High for brotherhood. We thank the Most High for community. Even though, coming into this journey and the set apart living is our intention to connect with like-minded individuals across the globe, here on the islands, if you are permits and as your leads, and to build a community of strength. Because we know when you are together, we are stronger together, right? But unfortunately, not all of us can come together. But if there are like-minded people that we can come together with, then more the better, where we can build and we have the vision to say we will do something, you know, in group economics. My buddy always remind me and talk about group economics and how we should be, but we were learned to, while our fathers wanted to assimilate, and not assimilate, but especially in North America with the civil rights movements, where they want to integrate, right? But we were taught to segregate as a people. We wanted to integrate with the people who enslaved us and kept us far from our father's way. But we were taught, and we have that spirit in us to segregate from each other. We have a distrust for each other. We don't have that sense of, hey, not like the yellow man, the Asiatic Chinese, who are born by the tie of blood. Marcus Garvey said it best. They are born by the tie of blood. The white is on the assumption of superiority. You know, so the Ashkenaz by so-called faith or whatever religion. Where's our bond? Where's our bond? I think we more fight against each other more than we try to build each other up. You try opening a store, try have a something business and see how much support we get from our people, especially when you're in a certain country. Because I've seen it here. I've seen it here. While I was listening to a Zoom meeting we had with a group of people earlier this year, and they're talking about community and building community, eco village, and trying to get together. I recognize that quite a bit of our people definitely would love to have that sense of set apart living community, but it's a very tall order, a very difficult task for our people. I cannot give you all the answers. Basically, I don't know the answers, but this is Shabbat talk, and if somebody have a clue, let me know. You know, I'll give you some suggestive answers why we always we fight to segregate instead of we fight to unite and to become more of a community, whether or not we live in the same country or region or territory or not, because we can build bond across rivers and bridges and seas. And while I was listening to that podcast, which I was a part of, that Zoom meeting, which I was a part of, not a podcast, but a Zoom meeting, could hear it's mostly the sisters actually, really, because they become a lot more spoken more than our men up in the walk and about faith, wanting community, wanting to build. But sometimes there's even you call it a reluctance, just the same. There's quite a bit of reluctance even to build, as the sisters are talking about wanting to build. But sisters, I must also aware that this is just what I see and what I understand. I mean, it's not wise for just, especially single sisters, just want to build together. I'm not sure if that great wisdom. Um, I think there needs to be a mix of blend. If they are single sisters, there need to be family and marriage people as well around to help build a stronger bond. That's just even experience I've had, not personally, but with sister you know who prefer to go a certain route, and these things normally break down because there's no masculine energy to help strengthen that bond. You know, even through his wife within a certain group with sisters. But let Yah be praised. This is, the Shabbat. It's winding down here on the homestead. The sun is mostly already set. It's only mostly already set. I mean, it's this time of year where the sun sets a bit earlier, and we prepare to close our Shabbat day and get our hands a little bit moving and shaking. But we thank the Most High for all that He has done. But community living with like minds. For those who want it, how do we make it happen? And people, you go on YouTube, you see, quite a bit of brothers. You see other people talking about the moving back to Africa, building communities. You see you talking about, communities in America. You're talking about communities want to build that strength. But it's a tall order, though, in my opinion, because it's difficult to pull people together. Our fellowship with brothers, I've been, to their place, and especially when we come into the knowledge of who we are. We went to place like what happened here? Bear with me. I think I lost my stream. Okay, we went to place like Kentucky, and see brothers. They talk about their experiences, about they're trying to build a community, and the struggle they face and the challenges with brothers coming in and the disarray, you know, of how people does things, and it just disseminate. It didn't happen. It's not easy to build with our people, unfortunately so, but it's not easy to build with our people. You know, I mean, it would be nice if it was easier, but it's not easy to build with our people. I think we tend to become self-centered and not thinking about, and we see it in the streets as well, not thinking about that, we have all gone through struggles, we have all gone through the oppression of slavery and other slaveries, and we have all gone through a lot of different things, and we don't see the benefit of helping each other, of coming together to build strong bonds and, you know, establish communities in such a way, even if the community is not physically together, because we can have strong bonds and community wherever you are, because technology has increased. so much that we can communicate wherever you are in the world today. Back in the day growing up, we used to have a thing called pen pal. Kids go to school, they would want us to have pen pal with different people. And I don't know, I don't remember much, but I don't remember. I think I was about to have only one pen pal at one point in that time, but I wasn't into writing letters to people and communicate. I wasn't into that writing the letter thing much. But let me tell you something. Off-grid living, a lot of people talk about it. I've seen a lot of it on YouTube. And what I've learned about YouTube, even though I'm on YouTube now, many people put stuff on YouTube just to get viewership, just to get monetization, and they spread a lot of falsehood just to create, you know. A lot of people do YouTube with a lot of sensational stuff, a lot of sensational topic, just to drive people to them because of the money and the dollar. And I watched stuff on YouTube and I've seen stuff that I'm trying. I realize that some stuff is not true in some stuff that they brought up. But, you know, I mean, let's give a scenario. I mean, I want to give an experience about it. We have stuff here in the homestead that, even some stuff that grows naturally here, that since we acquired the land. And, you know, we don't eat much of some of these produce. Sometimes they're here. And the other day, I harvested some and I sold it. And I'm like, wow, somebody wanted to purchase some from me. And I sold it. And I'm like, okay. I was meditating on it last night. Like, you know what? My produce on the homestead, what we have here, is not for sale. But if we have excess, then we barter it. Well, a lot of time I do barter. So that selling was more of a barter, to be candid. It's more of a selling. It's a barter. In many respects, I barter some stuff. So I have abundance here, but people are barter with me sell it. But they may have some stuff that I want, and I just stay here, and I may just so it's quite a bit of bartering. But I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, I don't have if there's excess, that's what I will. If it overly excess, and I probably need to move out some stuff. That's where I want to get stuff done. But it's not necessary to say I wanted to just like, you know, chasing down like just financials. Then what that will happen is I'll harvest all my stuff, I remove it, and then in a time of need, because I cannot eat money, I eat food. As I'm eating this piece of sugar cane, which is food, which I brought a piece from my dad's house and planted it right beside my house. I know it's growing a lot, you know, and we have sugar cane we can eat. So I will not be selling or bartering off most of my stuff because I want to have money. Then I have to take that money and buy food. It's kind of it's kind of ridiculous. I will barter some to get some food that I don't have or some stuff that I don't have, right? But not to take out everything because I'm like, I want money because I can't eat money. My family can't eat money, right? But I'll ensure I have enough balance here and just barter a little here and there. That's where I tend to go. One more bite. Here in the homestead, the chicken roost. They roost in the trees. They don't sleep in the coop. These are like wild chickens. They roost. Even though they come out for their feed and stuff in the yard. But it's not a chicken that you may see on TV where they're just happy go lucky around the owner's feet and they can always take them. These chickens, you have to be skilled to catch them, right? You can, but they come around. They come look for their breakfast or their lunch during the days, right? But they are classified as wild birds. Strictly free run, free range, right? But and again on the topic of community, with like minds, it's nice if we can come together. We need to break down the barrier of what the enemy has trained us to hate ourselves and hate each other. because we have a system of faith. But and we're not talking about being foolish, just open arms, hugging everybody without watching who you're hugging, because some people are deceivers and do have something to stab you in your back. But definitely have a heart to say we should have a concern to love our people, and with the intention to create communities. I know many people have tried and it has become a failure because sometimes people aren't who they say they are. Sometimes people come say they want to, oh, we love to farm and we love to get the soil, and especially a person come out of the city who has never, handled a machete, or have never handled a rake, or handle a chainsaw or nothing like that, and always be just living in the fast line. It's going to be an adjustment for that person. But communities have to be deliberate. And I think we're lacking that in our community, especially in the awakening of the loss of the outer Israel. We are lacking that in respect, to come together, for people to basically, you know, converse and build. Because without, we are stronger together, and people are stronger when you come together as a team. You're much stronger, and it's very much lacking. When I'm here in Jamaica, I look around, and I see, most people look like me, so I can blend in. And it's easier to, as Yeshua hid in Mitzrayim, where people look like him in Africa, in the midst of Africa, such as us here, who, while most 90s, high 90s% are from the house of Israel, they don't know it, but they're just living the Gentile life. They're just living the way of the Gentiles. You know, so you can be able to. You're hidden in plain sight, so to speak. But it is something that I've heard quite a bit of people are talking about. Hey, community, let's get together. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, I mean, where we live here, some gathering can take place, but there needs to be a certain level of infrastructure, and we're not really looking to just be foolish about how we do things. We do have to get to know people as well. People. As the brother said this morning, in a chat, we have had, bro, we have had a few chat. We have had chat before. You know, we have had more than one Zoom call. In the past when we were talking about community. But if you are considering building relationship with other families, there has to be communication. There has to be an effort. There has to be communication. There has to be dialogue. There has to be conversation. Because at the end of it, a person can't just say, hey, we are Israelites and we were walking up, and you should have welcomed us open arms. No, that's not going to happen, really. In terms of just not knowing the person, you have to communicate. You have to have conversation. You have to be talking. Get to know people. People get to know you. See if you are yoked. Even you're yoked in a certain manner. As the brother of mine said today, what's the doctrine do you believe? Do you what type of do you have strange doctrines? Because not just the fact that we're tied by nationality, we have to also be tied by faith as well. We have to be tied by faith, as a person who says, certain doctrine, that is belief, that is really deep and way off from how you operate your family. It's hard for you guys to build a bond in such a respect. So those things, so that's where communication comes in play, because I'm a type of person who, how I see it, hopefully that is so, or I don't know if other people see it this way, but I tend, even walking in faith and learning, there are certain principles of scripture that I will learn to abide by. But I don't know all things. So if a brother and his family and your brother want to have an opportunity to shed some light, and I can learn from that, let the be praised. But some people have some strange doctrines here in the awakening. Strange doctrines. No, the chicken is up in the roost. Oh, these chickens are weird. This rooster is like so funny. But anyways, there are certain things that you will not see me do. And you want to move a Star David. That's one. Because the Star David is not a biblical thing. It's actually idolatry. Yeah, it's actually idolatry. So if we are fellowshipping and you think, and this is an example for you to say, if you're not where where the Star David we cannot fellowship, then we're probably not gonna fellowship. Probably not gonna work together. Because even in the faith, we have to still hold things on the foundation of the word, of the Most High through his prophets and through his apostles and the mem and those who have brought his word. So you're not going to bring the strange doctrine just to say we are Israelite, and because you may do this, mean that I should do it without testing the rock by the rock. We have to do that. We are testimonies. We are testimonies all the time. And you hear testimonies of people coming together, because one of the things that I'm trying not to try not to fall into the fact that the era where, because we are the same earth tone, brown skin, that we belong together. And even people that I may know all my life, I will not do certain decision, make certain financial decision with. And if I'm going to make any exception, then it has to be something that is binding by some binder. Because I'm not going to fool myself in that, because we all have an earth tone because we were made from the earth, and we are brown skin, and we have this tan, and we look like this, and oh, he looks like me, he should be cool. No. We have to test the spirit by spirit. We have to test people by who they say they are. So we don't get burned, because I don't like getting burned. I don't like getting burned. And, it's interesting, because I've seen, there's brothers I've seen living off grid, I mean, and having fellowship, and it's a joy when you have good people you can fellowship with. And you're not going to agree on all things. So let's get that understood. We're not going to agree on all things. But we should have a foundation, though. There has to be a foundation, because not one of us know all truth. It's gonna be where, and that's gonna where it's gonna be the progenitor of us not being agreed on nothing. Because we just don't know all truth. But if we have true love for each other, we can harness the word and learn and to understand and pray that brings out stuff for us, right? And so we can learn. But we're not gonna agree on all things, Why are so much people getting burned? Why are so much people going to some deals that just hurts them in the long run? I was gonna warn you that the rooster will crow in this time or such time, because they're into their roost, and they normally send a message, as I mentioned, that they are timekeepers as well. As I mentioned, it's an informal video, because I'll be eating, I'll be chatting, I'll be just, chilling with online, just talking about matters concerning the art, with keeping you in mind, we're still on the time of the Shabbat. But yeah, I mean, people have to just know, One of the things that I try to be mindful of, people leaving the city. There's a quick talk about, come out of our my people, leave the city, right? And I'm not against that because we did. But I want people to be mindful that before you just run, you got to know where you're running to and understand where you're heading. And that's why, we must always have a prayerful heart and seeking the Most High. You know, I always encourage not just to flee because you think it's right to flee. Because I might just to flee and put the family in a more distress, especially when they have family. So consider, what am I going to do there? Because we're here in the world, leave the city, leave the city. And if we can, those who can will. But where are you going? What are you going to do? How your family, your kids, and all these things? What plans you have? I mean, because we left the city and we face our challenges as well. Because we left the city during the basically heights of COVID, and there's quite a bit of stuff that we had to overcome, right? And especially with kids and most of the kids, really, we had to make some adjustments because we have our children. But you know, I was just getting a time where I was like, man, I'm just tired of the north. I'm just tired of certain conditions. I'm just tired of not being able to walk in my backyard or having certain access to certain food. I'm tired of having this supermarket be my garden. I remember you know coming home one day and just thinking about even my water. I'm like, crap, these people control all my resources that are essential to life. Man, I just couldn't. I just like, man, I need to change the way I go about things. I need to change the way we go about things. I mean, like, especially my water, man. The supermarket is one thing, but you know, if they turn off the tap, I am done. If the tap is contaminated, we are finished. You know what I'm saying? And I was a bit like, wow, I just something need to happen here. You know, it's not all made here where we have, but it's made by yeah, and we appreciate it and we are moving through. I remember a time, I tell you a story, this event after I eat this through this piece. If you know anything about sugar cane, it helps clean your teeth as well. Um, I remember we were when we were living when we were living in the north, and I remember I don't remember what happened. It was actually winter, and we got an alarm on our phone about a nuclear exposure from the nuclear plant. You know, because where we lived, it was nuclear powered. It was a nuclear who had power give electricity. And we got the text because they set up these things that if there is an issue with any nuclear or exposure to any of these uranium or whatever they call it, you know, you get an alarm. There's a failsafe where you can have to leave and try to go at least between 5 to 10 kilometers away from such plant. And we got the text message and we're like, crap. You know, shortly after I got a message that there's a false alarm, right? But I used that as a practice for my family in that moment. You say, okay, you know what, this happened. Let's get ourselves good. And we were trying to do certain things. We're having the condition of our mind to be prepared in such a way. We're no experts. We're far from being prepared in a certain way. But it's like, hey, let's use this as an exercise. It came, whatever. Let's get our bags. Let's pack. Let's see how they leave out of the city. And we drove out further north, and we went to a small town, stopped at a coffee shop, and we were having conversation. We had, you know, get some donuts and some tea and chocolate for us and the kids or whatever. And we're talking, and we, at least for me and my Isha, we had concerns about living on the edge. And while it has never, there has never been, as I recall, any incident of a nuclear reactor having any issue to expose to what you call it, uranium or that. I don't know. I remember the term. I was still concerned, and I kind of felt like I was living on edge. I kind of felt like I was living on edge by not knowing when we have to pack up and run. So it started to become a bit uncomfortable for me. And those who live near nuclear reactor, they send out those iodine K9 K iodine pills for each household to have, should in case you know there's such an incident. And so you have to protect your thyroid. Obviously, if you follow the news, there was in the news or in the rumor, and I'm not sure if that's been confirmed, that the United States bought out quite a bit of iodine pills from, so in case of a nuclear attack from the company that does that or whatever. So it became a bit uncomfortable for me and for my issue. And I'm like, man, I just don't want to live like this anymore. I really just don't want to live like this anymore. It's like, I feel like I'm just in a box. While those countries may have you know, certain infrastructure that is much better than here on the island, man. You know, I mean, you just feel like you live in a box, and you kind of live a little bit. Because if certain things to happen, you better not try to touch the highways. You better have an escape. You better have an escape route. Never try to touch the highways. That's the first sign of danger you never want to go with, right? You can't go on the main. You can't live on the main roads in your community or town or wherever you live, even though it's not a highway, but it's a main road. You have to learn to know the side street. Where people think that the highway is highway and there's no traffic light, it's gonna be chaos and other jam on that highway, right? So I guess that's where I guess you'd have gone to a place and bug out. But we rather live where we bug out, because we bug out here, but we live here, you know. And we encourage people to look around and see, and to have some preparation in mind, um not just to consider about the supermarket being your garden alone, but have some stuff at home. Because especially I heard in the news about you know Buffalo and places in Toronto and places up north and certain places, there are quite a bit of snow, power outages. You know, I've had experienced that. And it's not nice to have power out where you depend on electricity to get heat, and there is no heat from your furnace. You know, you gotta cuddle up on a lot of blankets. So it's first an experience, and it's when you look outside, the trees, it's all ice on them. You know, it's like, wow, man, I need sunshine, man. I need sunshine. We need a raw, to live, man. Our people need sunshine, man. That's why Yards placed us in a land where it's not so hot and not so cold. You know, before we had to scatter, we had to flee. But too cold, man. While we live in it and we work in it and we survive in it, when you talk to most people, I talk to my buddy, I talk about the kind of work with people up north, and they be like, man, brother, it's like you're doing your thing, man. I mean, wish I could do it. I mean, like I'd love to do that, but sometimes the lifestyle get people stuck. But they struggle every day. They are not too happy because the difficulty to maneuver, especially through the winter months. So, I mean, I tell you. But what can you say? What can you do? Not many people is gonna have that brave heart to leave, like you know, I've seen other people who leave the city. You know, it's a very few people is going to be doing that. But why they leave the city, like what we have done, like what we have done. I mean, it's nice if we can gather, fellowship still with other people. I mean, sometimes it's hard because people have some different type of way of how they believe certain things and stuff, you know. And humility is not really there with a lot of people. So sometimes you just gotta chug it alone in your family. Just chug it alone in your family. My thing was also work hard on myself and my family. Just ensure that we're trying to do the right thing and be open minded, you know, to connect with like minded Israel, wherever they are. But you know, while certain thing hasn't realized in certain fullness yet, I mean, we just continue to do it daily. We just continue to chuckle on day by day, doing what we have to do here on the homestead and for whatever business that we are doing, you know. But community building, community living with like mind, so it's always awesome. It can be pretty awesome, man. Because as you know, two hands make work lighter, you know. Sometimes I see these people like on YouTube and they have their channels and a lot of them is always in a lot of money because of monetization. They say all type of fancy stories sometimes, and it's sometimes not really the reality. Can living off grid, it has its advantages, but there's a lot of disadvantages too. When you look at how a city life would give you, you know what I'm saying? Um, but the overall result is better, based on the lifestyle that you get to live a little bit freer. Off grid living, let me talk about off grid living. Let me tell you about off grid living. Off grid living, what have I experienced since I start living off grid, since we start living off grid? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. When you're living like in the Caribbean, where we are in the islands, we live where we get quite a decent amount of rainfall. Which when I was trying to find a piece of land, I I wanted something where it's not too hot, it's not too dry, right? When I look at it, because we live off grid and we use solar, um, we can get enough sun to charge our batteries, but because we use so much water, we get good amount of water in its season, and we have enough storage containers, and we need more storage containers because we'll be making more storage containers. However, it helps us a lot to be able to do these things. It really does, and it really does help us to be able to do these things. So we're thankful for that. But living off grid is is interesting because I've never lived off grid before. We never lived off grid before. We have always, well, let me correct that. Let me correct that. That's not necessarily true. But when we were living, growing up, we never knew it was off grid. We just know that we just living because we knew nothing else. But in the sense of off grid now, 'cause back then we didn't have electricity, but you know, what we use for light. And it shows we were closer back to nature back then when we were growing up and we didn't have electricity, because there's no electricity to people to have anyways. But we use our lamps and lights and lanterns and stuff to give us light. So when nighttime comes, you go to bed at 7. When night comes, you go to bed. You might talk a little with brothers and sisters and have to laugh, but because you know, you gotta save on resources like the lanterns and stuff. You're gonna save on the fuel that runs it. Parents will tell you, man, it's time to get to bed and turn on that lantern and get to bed. No too much talking. So we go to bed much earlier than now because we have light in the house. Some people stay up till 11 o'clock sometimes. But back when we were growing up, there was, we were officially off grid in such a way, but never had power really. So there is some experience with that. So I'm closer back manual with a lot more technology. We are closer back with a lot more technology. I tell you. I mean, it, it's a constant work to be monitoring your systems. Um, it's important because for my job, you know, you know, doing businesses as well, because we're entrepreneurs here. We're entrepreneurs. Um, I don't have to say exactly what I do, unless people know what I do, but we're entrepreneurs here. And, you know, 'cause we still have to keep the bread coming in. However, when you have off-grid living, you have to monitor your power. You have to ensure that that is working. You got ladies here that needs, they have to have, they like to have certain amenities. Um, your water, you gotta ensure that you do a check from time to time. So you have to be your own maintenance manager here on the homestead. But you get a lot of bountiful of of production from your land. Right now I'm looking at some mangoes here on the tree. There's avocado, there's other fruits, and I've been planting more fruit trees as I go along, because I want to hear to for us to have a food forest. Because when brothers and families tend to want to pass through and they're going to be here and passing through, we want to also be able to have some natural food for them to eat as well. And that was one of our drive, my drive coming to say, eating organic food and share with fellow brethren and sisters if they do pass our way. And we are, we are, man, you'd have to see where we are to understand where we are. You'd have to actually see if you were able to, but you know, we're still chugging along. We thank the Most High, and we're still chugging along. We're doing what we're doing daily. Today is the day of rest, and we thank the Most High for rest because that's been a busy week. It has been a busy week, up and down, trying to get done, working on projects, trying to get stuff done. It's been a busy week, traveling, been moving. It has been a busy week. So when it comes to rest day like this, like today, we just lay down, we just rest, we just have fellowship, read the scriptures, meditate on the Most High, and just, you know, relax because we know as soon as the Shabbat is over, then there will be time to get busy again. There will be time to get busy again. So, but it's a beautiful living though. When you live and your place is peaceful, you know, the smell of fresh air, nature around, the birds and the some of the creatures, some of the nature we don't we rather not have still, but nonetheless, some of them are here. So, and that is when you live on a farm, when you live in a country, living on a homestead. When you live in the tropics, you'll get tropical critters and things and bugs and beetles and those type of things, right? But yeah, I mean, that definitely been a joy to be able to experience such a lifestyle deliberately with family as well. Planting, hoping to fellowship with other like mine as well as their leads. I know quite a bit of people I fellowship with is really outside this country, the ones that I fellowship with. But if they do get to this side of the land, then you know we are here and we love to connect and for them to come see and you know you know work with us as well. So to have a praise, I mean, the journey, the journey has definitely been interesting. You know, leaving corporate life, or or for lack of a better word, leaving the life of corporate where your corporate world was to enhance another person's business and financial status. But if you still have that, you can turn it into your own and to be your own corporate, be your own corporation, you know, and to build, you know. But for much who is give for what, So let you have a praise. I mean, we just thank him, come to wrap up this in a couple moments. And know that, you know, community living with like minds, it's a nice ideal to have, but it's kind of look difficult to achieve, especially with our people because of how we have been brainwashed and how we have been torn and how we have been trained, to not have that love for each other and love for ourselves. So we tend to be very skeptic, very, very pessimistic, and we don't have that optimism of an open mind, and it's not about you, it's about if each person, each individual could think in that manner that hey, I need to be optimistic, I need to have love. If everybody start to think that way, it's not you thinking that, oh brethren, why you think like that? You should have love. But more or less that brother know that it's his mandate to have love for his brother, and the other brother knows that. Then if two come together, then you find out it's easier to agree. Because it's hard for two walk together unless they agree, right? That's what the scripture says. So, but it's a journey. The journey continues. The journey continues. This is the Shabbat talk here from the Kodesh Gardens here on the mountains where the land meet the cloud, and we always want to thank the Most High for yet another day, in spite of whatever situation, in spite of whatever workload, in spite of whatever thing that you may have to deal with. Always bless and praise the Most High. You know. So, on that note, with that note, I shall say shalom. Praise and thank the Most High for this day. Peace out, wherever you are across the hemisphere, wherever you are across this world. Just always remember to give the Most High thanks for what He has done. And stay in the faith, stay prayerful, and continue to pray for your brothers and sisters, so they may open their eyes and help them in their journey. Shalom, and see you in the next vlog. Hallelujah.